gentlemen, my name's Tania Mihailuk. I'm the New South Wales One Nation state leader. It's an absolute honour and privilege to be here with all of you here today. Thank you for your immense passion and energy and drive. The fact that you've come here from different parts of the state and indeed Australia, we owe you a great deal of gratitude. Thank you very much. It's important that people like yourselves who are prepared to fight for this country give up their day, you've given up going to work, you've had to pay the expenses of travelling here, and you've spent time and energy in preparing yourself here for today. I thank you immensely, and I thank Grant and everybody that's been involved in organising this today. Thank you so much, because it's people like you that will make a huge difference. It's people like you that will actually save Australia, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to save this wonderful, great country that we all love and care about. This is a country that I've always dubbed the lucky country. Do we still feel lucky? Not so much, not so much. But it's very important. It's important for our children and their children that we make it back to being the lucky country, okay? That we shouldn't be worried and stressed and anxious about climate change when we know these net zero targets are madness. We know that net zero will not only destroy our economy, but it will destroy the country as we know it now. It is utterly unfair. Sorry, mate, one speaker at a time, if that's okay? Please, please. One speaker at a time, darling, please. Can I just say, guys, I sat in Parliament in New South Wales last year, and I watched as the two major political parties voted with the Greens to put the most draconian net zero targets in New South Wales. We have the worst targets in the country. We have the worst targets in the country. It's important for people to understand that in November of last year, New South Wales has now legislated not only a 50% 2030 target, we've also legislated a 2050 zero target, but the worst target is the 70% by 2035. That is the worst target. And why it's important for me to mention this today is because you need to know who actually moved the amendment. It was the New South Wales Nationals and the Liberals who did an amendment with the Greens to put through the 2035 target. And I'm sorry, I know you've got some federal National Party members here that might think differently, but they've got to talk to their colleagues in New South Wales, because the New South Wales Nationals should be ashamed of themselves. They're not standing up for farmers, they're not standing up for regional communities at all in New South Wales. They're voting and moving amendments, and you can have a look at the Hansard record back in November last year, where they moved, together with the Greens, a 2035 target of 70%. That means the last 4 remaining power stations will shut by then. It means that renewables will be fast-tracked. It means like communities like Port Stephens, and God bless the people of Port Stephens who are here today fighting. Well done, guys. Because it means communities like yours will have an offshore wind farm imposed on them. Communities like the Illawarra will have an offshore wind farm imposed on them. It means there'll be 40 wind farms every month approved by the Minister for Planning in New South Wales. To meet their crazy target, you've got to understand, these targets mean that every month 40 wind farms need to be approved if they want to meet their targets. Every day, 22,000 solar panels need to be put up. It's madness. 10,000 kilometres of transmission lines need to be put in to meet their targets. And we have to stop this. We have to fight at every level. Every level of government we've got to fight. We've got to stand there on polling day, stand there at pre-poll and wake people up from what they're voting for. And people within these parties, and I say this to the Nationals, I say this message to the Nationals, time to wake up your colleagues in New South Wales. Enough with the net zero targets, enough with the madness, enough with teaching anxiety to our kids and children, told that they're somehow responsible for reducing carbon emissions worldwide, when Australia can't make a difference in that regard. China and India are proceeding with their power stations. Every year they build a new one, okay? They're not stupid. They're going to keep going with coal, they're going to keep going with iron ore, they're going to keep going with natural resources. It's Australia, a country so rich with natural resources, that that should be leading the market when it comes to energy and producing energy globally. We should have the cheapest electricity bills worldwide. Instead, we have one of the most expensive. Our energy prices are madness, and we've got to stop this. So I thank each and every one of you for being here. And I've got to do this because every time I'm at a rally, and I've been at a few now, I always pay tribute to that poster that says bugger off Bowen, okay? Because that's what it's about. Sending a message to Bowen that he bugger off. He is the biggest instigator of destroying our nation. There's no question. Him and the Federal Labor are spearheading these changes, and they know they've got a weak opposition. And they know they've got their Labor mates across different states like New South Wales prepared to sign off and fast-track these renewables. But it's people like Bowen that we've got to send packing, okay? We've got to send a message, bugger off Bowen, you're not needed in Canberra. And if you don't love Australia, how about you leave? How about you leave? You're not happy here, leave. Okay? The rest of the world will slowly wake up, ladies and gentlemen, okay? We'll see changes in the US later this year, we know that. There'll be changes. Let's see how long the Paris Agreement will be signed by the US. They'll get out of that before the end of the year. You watch. And it'll be silly Australia, thanks to Federal Labor and Federal Coalition, that will remain committed to these unreasonable targets. And it's our children and our grandchildren that will be forced to pay for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your passion. Thank you for your belief. Never give up. We've got to keep fighting. I'll come back anytime you invite me to these rallies because I know we've got to keep fighting. And I'll keep fighting in New South Wales Parliament for each of you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.